Kaitlin Armstrong had $450,000. She also went to a shooting range with her sister. And then one more thing. This is the key to Kaitlin's accessory. Hello and welcome to True Crime Rocket Science, the most authentic voice in true crime. In this episode, we're going to talk about some of the latest news in the Kaitlin Armstrong case, and we're also going to look at an area that is going to settle once and for all whether Kaitlin had an accessory and who that accessory was. But before we get to that, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do like, share, leave a comment. Bear in mind, you can also use the thanks icon if you want to make a contribution. Also, later today, I'll be talking about new developments in Amber Heard's legal struggle. That's a live that I'll be doing later today. And let's get started. So I don't know why so little of the discovery, that's including warrants, has been released regarding this case. As far as I know, there was even a court appearance yesterday, the 13th, that hasn't been in the media either. Possibly as more hearings take place, more of the discovery will be released. Anyway, recent news is that Kaitlin had access to almost $500,000 in investment capital. Although that may be true, I'm not sure she necessarily had that amount of cash available. If she did, why did she need to sell the Jeep at such short notice? It also raised the question, where did Strickland get that sort of money? Because apparently that money was given to her by Colin Strickland. So where did he get that money from? And in this respect, I also want to talk about Colin Strickland and an aspect that has been certainly missing from his story. We've gotten this aspect from Kaitlin, we've gotten this aspect from Mo Wilson, but it's an aspect missing from Strickland's side, and we'll deal with that in the next episode. But according to Fox News, quote, Colin Strickland had also given Armstrong $450,000 as investment capital. And according to the warrants, he asked for it back, but she did not return it. She did not return that amount before fleeing the state, before leaving Texas on May 14th. She allegedly flew to New York, according to the U.S. Marshals Service, end quote. So if you think about it, if she had that amount of money at her disposal, you would also think, why would she need to really get a job in a hurry, right? Also, why not fly further afield? Why not fly to Australia or New Zealand or a non-extradition country, right? And I think part of the answer to that question is she still had business interests that were sort of interwoven with Colin Strickland's finances as well. And she didn't want to just abandon those. Now, in terms of the crime scene, we're also getting a clear idea about what happened. This is also quoting from the Fox News article. Quote, Mo Wilson had an exit wound on her back, and police found a bullet and chipped tile beneath her. End quote. Now, this has echoes of what happened to Oscar Pistorius' girlfriend. Remember, Reva Steenkamp was shot also in a bathroom situation. She was shot 4 times. There was also bullets hitting tiles, shattering tiles, and that kind of thing. In this case, the bullet that exited Mo's shoulder obviously smashed into a tile behind her. It went through her, came out the shoulder, and then smashed into a tile behind her, leading to Mo slowly falling onto both the bullet fragment and the chipped tile. And I must say, when you think about it in these somewhat graphic descriptions, you had the same thing happening with Alina Hutchins, where a bullet went right through her and then entered the director who was standing behind her, entered his shoulder. It gives you an idea of just how deadly these weapons are, doesn't it? Anyway, going back to the article, it says, quote, documents revealed Armstrong's boyfriend, 35-year-old cyclist Colin Strickland, initially denied knowing the victim, end quote. Now, that is not anything new, but I do think that is something that needs to be emphasized and re-emphasized. The fact that Colin Strickland actually pretended not to know Mo Wilson when he was confronted by law enforcement, that is actually quite interesting. So although we know this, I think it's a huge and not necessarily flattering insight into the character of the man at the center of this tragic triangle. As for the visit to the shooting range, it's not clear when this happened, although we know Christine had been to a range 10 years ago and posted the experience onto Instagram. Another document that has recently surfaced is an indigence form. I'm not going to reproduce it here, but on the form it shows that her expenses that's Kaitlin's expenses, are around about $2,750 per month, and that is $400 for clothes and food, and then $2,350 for rent, and then her salary is given as just $500. And it sort of makes you wonder, what is going on with her finances? Was she actually more dependent on Colin for her income? If so, once again, where is Colin getting his income from? And then also within this context, her income is a measly $500, while her rent and living expenses are $2,750. Where does the $450,000 come into that? So another interesting aspect is a recent search warrant requested by law enforcement, and what they want there is to gain access to Kaitlin's Gmail account. Now, I seem to remember reading that this was a recently created account and that she was also using a new phone. I'll put a link to that article in the description. But whoever Kaitlin emailed will possibly prove who was helping her during the fugitive phase following May 11th. Now, according to court documents, I haven't been able to see them, but according to KXAN, Colin Strickland told police that Armstrong had bought a new phone after hers was taken by the Austin Police Department during a search of their Austin home. Colin also said that he had gotten an alert on his phone which notified him that Armstrong had attempted to make a purchase at Walmart. It seems to be something similar to the Chris Watts thing where he bought a meal on a particular card and it alerted on Shanann's phone. And so one wonders, did she attempt to make a purchase and she wasn't able to? And then what did she do after that? How did she make the purchase in the end? Now, apparently Austin Police Department followed up with Walmart. And according to these documents, which I haven't been able to get hold of, but apparently KXAN has, but they're not providing a link to them. But anyway, according to these documents, they found that Armstrong purchased a new phone, right? A kind of a burner phone and a prepaid debit card. And I think it's possible she did this in order to not use her credit card and her other cards and leave a sort of financial breadcrumbs, a kind of a financial evidence trail by using this prepaid debit card system. Also, if she had sold the Jeep and she had cash on hand, she probably wouldn't want to carry that amount of cash on her, and so put that amount into the debit card, right? But the part that I think is really interesting is the search warrant for an email account. So they actually found an email account that I think was on the phone. So I think, first of all, they tracked the phone to the Walmart, and then they must have seized the phone records through the whatever carrier she was using, and perhaps through that they have then discovered an email account. And this search warrant, I think, has been served on Google, which makes you think that it can only be a Gmail account. Now, once they have access to that account, the question will be, who was she communicating with and what was she communicating about in terms of emails to a particular party? What do you think the answer is going to be to that question? Anyway, this is still a developing story, and we can possibly expect more charges to come as time goes by. Another thing to bear in mind is Kaitlin is asking to have a fast-track trial, probably wanting to avoid this high-profile case from becoming unnecessarily even more high-profile. So I'm not going to take it further than that. What I am going to do is I'm going to do a follow-up, just providing a little bit more background on Colin Strickland. I think he's someone we need to look at a little bit more closely. So look out for that. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you guys next time.